Hi everyone, I'm Zach and I like movies, and I am back from my well overdue vacation to bring you another entry in the Letterboxd Criterion Challenge for 2024. And since Pride Month is almost over, I decided to do prompt number 21, which is to review an LGBTQ plus movie, and I decided with 120 beats per minute from director Robin Campillo. This was the winner of the Grand Prix of the 2017 Cannes Film Festival, as well as several César Awards in France, which is basically the French Oscars. And it tells the story of the Paris chapter of the ACT UP movement. This was the AIDS Coalition to Unleash Power, and follow them in staging their series of public protests to raise awareness of AIDS activism in the early 90s, as well as demand pharmaceutical companies to stop withholding potential treatments. And now I want to start by saying I think at some point a number of stories of AIDS and even ACT UP may be at least a little unfairly compared to The Normal Heart. That is a very famous play by the late great Larry Kramer. Who was a playwright and a ferocious activist for gay rights at the time. Really one of the faces, one of the figures of AIDS activism. He co-founded ACT UP as well as the Gay Men's Health Crisis, and he was ferocious and confrontational and really even kind of a bit of a controversial figure in the gay community too. And it does make sense that a lot of AIDS stories they tend to be very New York focused and very America focused in general, with the intensity of the activism in those communities, and a lot of the effects of AIDS has kind of been exacerbated by the deliberate dismissal of the Reagan administration. Just them looking pretty and doing as little as possible, it makes sense why there are comparisons. I mean, it makes sense to go where all the action was, But I think 120 beats per minute separates itself from both the stage play of The Normal Heart and The Normal Heart's shitty movie adaptation by being much less of a character focal story, and not that there isn't something of an audience avatar, but this is also not even it's even less of what I would call an ensemble piece. This is like a ensemble piece in the sense that there is no real main character, but it's definitely focused on the group at a whole, and I think 120 beats per minute is painting as not broad a brush, but sort of trying to give as big a picture of what the activist scene was like and what it meant to be in this organization and staging these protests, and what it meant to the people like them, and how really there was a lot of authenticity in this film, and it's very and it comes through very strongly, and I think a lot of that comes through with a lot of both of Campillo, and I hope I'm pronouncing that right. It's Campillo and his co-writer. I also hope I'm pronouncing this right. Philippe Mangeot, because they were both involved in ACT UP back in the day, and you can see where a lot of their firsthand experience comes from, and because there's so many scenes. Especially right out the gate, we see we start with them interrupting some conference from these pharmaceutical companies, and then we get scenes of them debating in having this group meet in a lecture hall, where they're debating about how that protest went. Did it look good? And will this garner sympathy for us? Will it make us look? Does it make us look a sort of standoffish and they already hate us for being gay and all that? Are we garnering support enough? Are we getting information out enough? And all of these scenes in this lecture, in this lecture hall where they have these debates, they feel very natural. Like they're all these actors are fantastic performers, and they're performing in a way that it's not so much like you see one actor sort of disappear in a role in the way that in the way that like Christian Bale disappears in a role, disappears in a role with all this method stuff. This is like the kind of authentic acting where and nobody feels like a character here. They feel like a person you would meet, who would pass on the street. It's somebody that you could actually. They feel like a person you have talked to in your life. And I think probably the closest comparison I could think is maybe something like something like a Mike Leigh film where even recognizable actors like a Timothy Spall, for example, there's such natural down to earth qualities that the way that these conversation scenes are staged and the way that they're delivered with how sometimes their dialogue would just kind of overlap and feed into each other. So they feel so natural. It feels so natural to how people talk and discuss. And a lot of there's many scenes about them staging these protests and for one, they target a pharmaceutical office, Melton Farm, that they believe has been withholding information of possible treatments, because we see that. But it shows that this movie even has helpful information about AIDS and HIV and even potential treatments they had. They show how AZT functions on cells, but even with their bodies that aren't compatible with their drugs. And you have some trans members who feel that maybe some of the drugs they might conflict with hormone treatments that they're on these great protest scenes. They're very engaging to watch. They storm this office. They're throwing up flyers, calling people in and assassins for letting them die. They're throwing balloons full of fake blood out the walls. It's very walls, and when the they're even lay down and let the guards and the cops just take them without resistance. It's we're here, and they're shouting out information. And even later, a later scene, they bring a news crew with them as they go to a high school that is defying a public health order about not having a condom dispenser, because it was the AIDS crisis. There was you had an STD going around. You had to there was a lot of public there needed to be sexual education being that was really a necessity because and even though it wasn't even though it was transmitted sexually a lot of the time, you also see other members this woman Helen who got involved in ACT UP because her son got infected, contracted HIV due to a mishandled blood screening. Because the 90s was not a good time to be a hemophiliac. And they're passing out pamphlets on condoms and lubricants and safe sex. Healthy sex education, sexual education that really is informative and a lot of kids, a lot of not just teenagers need, but a lot of adults need. And of course, and yeah, sure, some of them might be yo, dick joke, making a lot of gay jokes and insulting them, but it's to show all of this is to show not just what information needed to get out and how and this sense of urgency too. So much of the scenes has a lot of that really strong push to we need to get this done. We need to get this done. We need to keep doing. We need to do it soon. And some of these pieces are, and some of these moments are kind of get focused on with Sean, who's a bit more on two characters, I should say. There's a newcomer, Nathan, who is not HIV positive, who starts a relationship with one of the veterans of this chapter of ACT UP, Sean, who's very, very passionate, very living, trying to live as much as possible and trying to get this out as much as possible. and he has been HIV positive for about 10 years, and they strike up a relationship that turns sexual, and their relationship is like, it's nothing like outstanding in terms of like, I'm so in love with these two characters fall in love, but their relationship is really much a microcosm of really just what everyone's life was like. And their relationship was not just, it's not just like them falling in love. It's like showing that everyone was just living. Everyone just like needed to kind of keep living. They mentioned in one of their debates about how best to do about a pride, about their own pride parade. And there was this they don't want to just like fall prey to this like zombie feeling that AIDS is sort of like just put everyone in. They don't want to they feel like too worn down by this constant like atmosphere of disease and death to even like experience joy, but they need to. And there's so much beautiful moments between like them, like people going to the club and dancing, and then there's these and then you have Sean and Nathan in these very naturalistic and very sensual sex scenes that they're slightly graphic, but it's to show them that even in the space, and even in spite of all of this sadness and all of this and just this looming sense of death and potential death and despair that is around them, they still needed to live. They still loved, they still fucked, they still had lives to live. And I think that's something that's very powerful, especially now. Feeling love and feeling joy in the space of so much like just societal turmoil and community turmoil is important, and that is inspiration. It's very powerful for me, and I think, and they'll just sort of like hope in the face of hopelessness, and as the movie goes on, and it does go on. I should warn you. I should mention that this movie is like a little bit over 2 hours and 20 minutes, and it does kind of feel that way. There are some scenes that they do make their point and then just sort of overstate their welcome, and you have these scenes where like they're debating tactics, and some members are like starting to like have differences of opinions and like what you do. Like some members get upset at Helen because she started calling for officials to be tried and arrested for the mishandling of blood treatments, like what happened with her son. And some of them are feeling like that goes against ACT UP's principles, because you throw a because jails are like a place for like are places that are like they're like not treated well. They're like unclean. There's like places they could get drugs and unsafe needles, and of course unprotected sex, which is it's like a hotbed for potential AIDS infections. So they feel like that's not what ACT UP should be about. And like there is a lot of these scenes of them like disagreeing and tensions rising, but they're not like really building they're not really like building towards like grand conclusions in the way that like most stories do. It's more, again, this is more about like getting a lot of the day-to-day of the of activism, and sort of feeling in the room, feeling that frustration and feeling that sense of hopelessness, because, well, as more and more members are dying and others are getting gradually sicker and sicker, the urgency just feels more. It feels more necessary. You need to get like more direct and more, because as Sean kind of puts it, as it's elaborated with Sean, he's had the disease for 10 years. he knows he doesn't have another 10 years. You can see that he's like starting to just, his body starts shutting down and he's starting to wither away. And there's funerals, and even in the funerals, there's like it's giving you the highs, the lows, and a lot of just the everydays of ACT UP, and just these people in this trying to fight for their lives. And I think, and something that's so and it's so authentically portrayed. It's not. I really compliment Robin Campillo for like how he approached this here. This is not a like one of those like feel good heartwarmers about, oh, look how brave they are, and if I were there, I would be one of the nice people and not one of the mean people. This is a very personal film. It feels very personal, and it's a very intimate movie too, and especially in how it's filmed. There's not much of wide master shots. Many of it chooses a lot instead to focus on like these very interior medium shots and close-up shots, and even closer shots of these little moments of intimacy, and even like sort of somewhat microscopic intimacy. Like there's focuses, like it'll have a shot of like a intercuts of like a glow of sprinkling water as Nathan's watering his plants, or there's seeing watching the whiffs of cigarette smoke just sort of drift into the air, or like the particles of dust in the air. And of course there's even more intimacy as just like hands on a cheek, hands gliding on sweaty skin as they make love, and even in the intimacy of the microscopic, as there's sort of, as Sean sort of starts to fade away. You see inner shots of like an HIV infected cell sort of succumbing to the virus and spreading, and it's a sad, it can be very sad, but it's important. The important thing that this movie's giving you is this feeling of community and of safely belonging, and I think it really achieves that in its like final, I want to say like 10 minutes, when full spoilers, but I have to tell you, but I have to inform you of this, because when Sean eventually passes away from AIDS, other ACT UP members, they come over to his and Nathan's apartment, and they give comfort and condolences to Nathan and Sean's mother, and then they follow up on Sean's final wishes, which was to have his ashes thrown in protest at politicians and elites that were rejecting them, and using their final wish as an act of protest. And in this protest, as they're throwing their ashes on this like lavish food and around the room, strobe lights start flashing, and it's intercut between two men having passionate sex that turns sad. They start breaking down and crying, and it's flashing, and it's cutting between the sex scene and the protest, and with people dancing in the club, just embracing their queerness, embracing their bodies, embracing their love, their pain, and their sadness, and their joy, in an absolutely wonderful collage of image and emotion that I just thought was wonderful. Like I think, despite my even my own issues with some of the length and some of the stop and go pacing, it's absolutely worth it for these final moments. They are. It absolutely won me over. I was warmed. I was saddened, but that's sort of the experience. Just fighting for your life, and fighting to live your life and have your life be recognized. And man, that's kind of what Pride's about. And I love, and I I really love this movie. I thought it was great. As far as I don't know, reductive ratings, I'd probably give this a strong 7 if it needs a rating. But yeah, absolutely recommend 120 beats per minute. You can watch this you can actually watch this for free on Tubi, which is a really good streaming service. It's free. There's a really good selection. Yeah, you have to watch it with ads, but it's not that many. It's manageable. It's no different from what cable used to be. But yeah, that's my review. This was a great movie. Happy Pride, everybody. Keep loving, keep loving, keep fighting, keep fucking, keep being you, keep being proud of who you are, and keep watching movies, because I have a lot more to watch, and I will have much more movies to share in a few weeks, both of this challenge and of this year, and I'm very excited to keep this going. And I'm Zach. I'm bye, and I love movies, and I will keep watching, and I keep watching movies, and I hope you watch movies too. And I will see you later.